back. Red Top Podcast, Season 2, Episode 11. Today we're joined by one of my favorite people to work with. He is an avid fisherman and a great friend. I want to welcome Mike from Jigging World to the podcast. This is his first ever podcast, so it'll be fun. I'm glad we had the opportunity to steal him for the first one. But welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We're back in the little studio. We're going to try to keep this going for you guys. Obviously, like I said, some things will continue to change. Today we're going to talk mainly about Jigging World rods. We have been carrying them now for 5 or 6 years probably.
I would say 5-6 years, yeah.
At the shop.
Yeah.
And they have become one of the most popular rods on the Cape. So we'll give you guys a little breakdown, some of our favorites, and we'll just get right into it. Starting with, the inshore rods. What would you say is not only your best selling, but the most versatile inshore rod?
I mean, all of our inshore rods are definitely versatile to some degree, but I mean, come on, Nexus.
The Nexus.
Nexus 2.0. Every shop loves them. Every consumer loves them.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with a Nexus.
Yeah, and I mean the first Nexus, the jump to the second one, you guys did a bunch of changes. I remember when you brought them in, I think it was last fall or in the spring. Me and AJ were blown away with the changes you made, and somehow you kept them at the same price.
No, thank you. I mean, in all honesty, it's going to be tough to beat on all our other future revamps, but
The 3.0 will be tough.
3.0 will be very tough.
So we talked a little before the podcast of the name Nexus. I wanted to bring that up again. How did you guys come up with the name, and kind of what does it mean? Because obviously Nexus isn't a word everybody sees every day.
So Nexus, I will have to give credit where it's due. It was not named by us. It was named by one of our very good friends, Ralph Kraft from Crafty One Customs. So Nexus means pretty much a connection between things.
Sure.
And it's so fitting because I can confidently say that our brand really prides ourselves in being able to connect with dealers, consumers, even our partners overseas at our factories. It's a very collaborative effort that really comes together to really make this happen, like this story.
Yeah, totally.
And just going by the sheer meaning of Nexus alone, I don't know, it kind of gives me chills sometimes just thinking about how Nexus is like really the foundation of Jigging World, and it's our #1 seller.
Totally.
So,
which was the Nexus one of the first rods you guys came out with?
it wasn't the first, but it was definitely the first series that really took off, gained traction, really got the name, spread throughout the Northeast. So.
Yeah, that is funny how the name kind of just rolled in. Was that like a planned thing, or did Ralph just come up with it?
I mean, you asked me to name rods. I mean, it comes out pretty bad, but Ralph's always good at these things, and I don't know if he had a vision for naming it Nexus and then unfolding the way it has come to today, but I mean, hey, we'll run with it. That's what we've been doing.
That's how the world works.
Yeah.
So obviously, like you said, it became a big rod in the Northeast. Specifically speaking towards the Cape, how would you say the Nexus, what would be the best model of the Nexus for an all-around Cape Cod rod?
I mean, sheer numbers alone, definitely selling more spinning rods than casting rods.
Sure.
I think that kind of correlates to most tackle shops.
Yeah.
I would say probably the 7-foot spin medium heavy is by far, throughout all our inshore series, including the Nexus 2.0s, our #1 seller, where you can pretty much, do your fluke jigging, do your blackfish jigging, black sea bass slow pitch jigging, albie fishing, striped bass fishing. I mean, there's really not much the Nexus rods can't do, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I met you, actually, you gave me one of the 7-foot hybrids, the 1-4. And to date, I use that rod for everything. It's my favorite sea bass rod. It's my dock rod for bass. I'll live line on it. I'll fluke fish on it when I go. and it'll maybe see a tuna at some point. We'll see if they can do it.
I'm more than certain it can handle
I
it,
think
but
with a yellow
not
fin,
really promoting you should be taking it on your
Not
serious and
saying
going
you
offshore
should.
fishing. But
No.
let's say you're bass fishing and
they just happen
to be there.
Yeah, you're
and you get tight on something a little bit larger than what you were intended
You'll be good.
to catch, but just take it easy and slow and you'll be good.
Yeah.
You'll be good.
Which, I mean, you could see I cannot remember his name, but the gentleman a couple of weeks ago you were talking to him, he had those huge bass in the spring on Instagram with the Nexus. Trout man.
Oh yes,
Real
Craig,
trout
Craig,
man.
yeah, the
Yeah,
real trout
Craig.
man, yeah.
He was doing fish that you would expect guys to be doing on like a raptor
Oh yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
a black hole.
Yeah.
He's doing them on.
No, I had the privilege of actually fishing Block Island with him too about like 2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
you did?
I mean, guy's an animal. I mean,
That's
when
nuts.
we're talking like fishy, I mean, he's pretty up there.
Yeah.
He's
I
pretty
mean,
up there.
Once I saw the post from you guys, I
Yeah.
followed him and I was watching him in the spring, and he
Yeah.
was just putting up big fish nonstop.
You know, like those talkers that be like, oh, yo, we're gonna like smash big bass tonight. We're gonna smash like just megas.
Yeah.
You know, they talk the talk,
But he walks the walk.
but he walks the walk.
Yeah.
Like,
That's incredible.
yeah.
Yeah, it's wild what those rods can do. But
yeah.
we'll get into what they can't do in a little bit.
Mhm.
But I guess specifically talking about the 2.0 now, what are some of like the key features versus the OG one
Mm-hmm.
that are kind of makes the rod stand out? Because looks wise,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like a $150 rod.
Fine.
Well,
Not at all.
No, but I guess beyond that, what are some of the features that'll kind of make it stand out
Mm-hmm.
against any other $150, $200 rod in the market?
No, so when we were revamping the Nexus 2.0, we were figuring out ways, how can we improve such an amazing rod already?
Yeah.
And one, for me, I'm a very visual individual, like visually minded individual, where I like nicer looking things. But that's not just gonna cut it. We're not here
Doesn't
to just,
everybody?
yeah. We're not here to just, take something and then just put a facelift on it and then just put it back out into the market.
Sure.
So what we did was, just obviously it comes down to cost and everything, speaking with our factory, just going back and forth, and what can we do to make it better than the OG rods?
Mhm.
So obviously for us, our number one goal was to keep the same price point, because people have fallen in love with the Nexus. They're used to that $150 price point.
Yeah.
So what can we do? And virtually at the end of the day, what we've been able to achieve, which still
It doesn't make sense. To me.
doesn't make sense to me too, but there are a lot of other stuff behind the scenes of how it came to be.
Sure.
Where one, most importantly, we were able to completely upgrade the carbon fiber raw material,
Okay.
switching it from just basic carbon fiber to premium, top of the line carbon fiber coming out of Tori's Japan factory,
Mhm.
which they are known to pretty much put out top of the line carbon fiber sheets.
Yeah.
For the fishing industry and other industries in the world
Yeah.
that uses carbon
Of
fiber.
course.
And then secondly, on the OG rods, it was our first series of rods that we tested out our own SIC guides, and it was a huge success.
Yeah.
I mean, not joking, the issues with rings popping out, guide issues, I mean, it was literally, I haven't heard many issues, to be honest.
No, the only time I've ever seen it was once the 2.0s came out and we had marked down the old ones.
Yeah.
They were up front in the rod racks and they would fall and fall. People would knock them over, knock them over, knock
Uh-huh.
them over. And eventually a guy would pop.
Yeah.
But again, you expect it. But fishing wise,
I mean, I've seen some people who tie some pretty big braid to leader connection knots, and I've seen it just
ripping
go
it through the guides.
up and down, up
Yeah.
and down through the guides. And we knew that the integrity and then the solid, they were very solid guides.
Sure.
Where we didn't really need to change them out.
Yeah.
But the market wants Fuji still, and we're always looking to give what the market wants.
Yeah.
Hence we
I mean-
changed, Fuji came out with their new O-ring guides. So hence we used Fuji O-ring guides. And pretty much those are the two biggest changes that came about to be. Number one, like I said, we tried to maintain the $150 price point.
Yeah.
And number two, we wanted to maintain the action of the original OG rods.
Okay.
but just using higher grade Japanese carbon fiber,
Sure.
it does have a little bit of a snappier feel to it, but under load, it's pretty much identical.
Yeah.
And hence, by using Japanese carbon fiber, the weight is
It's nuts.
it's less than the original ones.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah.
What would you say? Like you said, 7 foot medium heavy. That's the 1 to 4 ounce.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is a good reel to put on that for a guy up here saying, like we said, all around I want to do stripers, groundfish, bluefish, whatever comes out.
I would say any 4K, 5K size spinning reel.
Sure.
From the major brands that are out today.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pick your poison.
Yeah.
It's always a battle at that point.
Yep. So I will say it. The only issues that I've seen thus far in terms of reels trying to be put onto the Nexus 2.0s is anything above a Pen 4500. The reel foot is a little bit too wide,
Okay.
so it does not
fit
go in
into the top
properly.
part.
But any pen reel under 4500 and under,
It will fit it well.
perfectly. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. And like I said before, we talked about, the rods can do, well, I guess the Nexus can do just about everything. What can't it do? I mean, if you said it could, obviously not recommended, but it could possibly handle a smaller size tuna. Obviously, without getting too outlandish, what would you say you might want to avoid? Big tuna, sharks.
Pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't intentionally go out chasing after
Would
big
chase
game like
giants,
that.
yeah.
But let's just say that
They
you
can
were
do-
out. It's a great mahi rod too. When
Oh,
you're
yeah,
out
that'd
there.
be perfect.
And let's just say that you hook up into something that you're not intentionally targeting.
Hold on tight.
Hold on tight. It's up to you how you want to fight it, whether you want to really go through it or you want to cut your line and then just re-rig. But the thing is, it has enough backbone. Not saying it has enough backbone to, like turn the heads of like oversized tuna.
Oh, of course
But
not. But
it's
might be
my
a-
recommendation is I want you all to have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun with it.
Totally. Yeah, and I mean, deep down, part of me, if the yellowfin bite gets good, you guys might see a video of a hybrid, medium heavy hybrid on a yellowfin.
Non-sponsored by us though.
Not sponsored. Not sponsored. Yeah, so I mean, inshore, that kind of, we hit all the points there really. What about, kind of transitioning into surf fishing? It's a big part of the Cape. I would say, just for being in the shop, it is one of the more, I guess, like guys are more particular about what they get. What would you say, guy comes in and he's asking, the classic, I want to fish the beach, but I also want to fish the canal. What model rod would you recommend to him out of the Jigging World lineup?
So when I first entered the fishing industry, like over 10 years ago, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the number one length surf rod that I personally felt like was, just a lot of people walking around with was a 10.6.
Yep. Yeah, for us it was 10.6 Mojo.
10.6. And as I started to fish more, I don't know, I fell in love with a 10 foot or more off the beach. Whether it's, I don't really fish the canal, but beaches, jetties, down by where we are.
Yeah.
The tempo was perfect for me, and I look at the numbers. Our number one sellers are actually our 10 foot medium heavies and 10 foot heavies.
Really?
So, I think.
And that is in the Nexus surf or the Shadow?
I mean, all series, Onyx surf,
All series.
Nexus surf, Tide Rider surf,
Yeah.
and Shadow surf.
Yeah.
Actually, I got to correct that one. Onyx surf, our 8 and 9 foot surf rods are our number one sellers.
Yeah.
But those are more like an all-around walk the beach.
Yeah, inshore,
throw
back
light tackles.
bays.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I use it
Bigger
for,
market for
kind of relating back to the last episode. I use it as a short fluke rod.
So a lot of people do in Jersey
It's
too.
perfect.
Yeah.
The bend on it's super unique, so I really like it there. So you said the 10 foot medium heavy. What would, generally, I guess we'll be specific to the shadows. What would that be rated?
I think it's rated to 1 to 3.5 ounces.
Okay,
Yeah.
1 to 3.5.
Yep.
And then
And I think the heavy is rated 2 to 5. It should be 2 to 5 ounces.
2 to 5.
So like, when new customers are asking me, new dealers are asking me,
Sure.
which one should I go between? Because, we have one 9-foot, two 10-foots. So the 10-foot is the only length rod that we have two different actions to it.
Okay.
So they always ask me, which one do I need to get?
Yep.
I was like, do you see your clients more pluggers or chunkers? And they say chunkers, I say heavy.
Heavy, medium.
They say pluggers, I say the medium heavy.
Okay.
Yep.
Totally. And I know, at least on the surf rods we carry, we have the Nexus Surf and
The Shadow.
Yep. The wind grip. It's kind of a new thing. Not a lot of people have seen it before.
Yeah.
They've seen them on reels, but not really on rods.
Yep.
What was kind of the thought process and benefit of using that wind grip over just like a traditional Paco or shrink tube?
So out of the 4 surf rod series that we have out today, Shadow is definitely the first one that we came out with years back.
Okay.
And we wanted a very good all around, nothing really focused between, focusing that this is this is a jigging rod, this is a plugging rod, this is a chugging rod, just an all around surf stick. And, by using carbon fiber technology, we were able to achieve a lighter rod. And we wanted to keep it light as possible. And one of the things was just looking at what other people do. There was really no one in the market that was actually using genuine wind grips on a production rod.
Yeah.
So we're like, black and tan might come out nice. So we had the factory, just built some, prototypes. And one of the things that we tested for was, my concern was salt water getting into the seams and then starting to spread out. That was not the case.
No.
My prototype, dunk it in water, fish it, and I never washed it. Just left it as is, just to see how it would unravel. And the integrity was there.
Sure.
It kept in tight, and the thing that I loved about it was when I personally had to get a little bit into deeper water.
You don't lose grip.
Your grip's not. You have more control over the rod. It does
That's-
not slip.
That was the one benefit when I first saw them.
Yeah.
Kind of clicked for me. Because I do a lot of wetsuiting.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of swimming with rods.
Yep.
And it's like, I use the traditional Paco grip, but what I do is I double up the cork. So it's super, it has a little bit more texture to hold on to.
Yeah.
When I saw the wind grip, I was like, that's actually a good idea, because when it gets wet, if anything, it might get easier to hold on to. So
Sure.
it's definitely a cool concept.
I'm sure we could have picked other colors too to use,
Yeah, I'm
but
sure.
on a rack it stands out.
Oh, definitely.
You walk through aisles of surf rods. You see that tan
Black grip,
brown.
black grip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wind grip. It's a Jigging World Shadow Surf.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was a cool concept.
Yeah.
And I was glad to see somebody do it, because I was a big baseball player, so we were always using them on the bats. But I never thought I'd see it in the fishing industry, so it's kind of cool to see that parallel there.
So let me ask you one question.
Okay.
So obviously, the 11-foot extra heavy.
Sure.
We actually made that for the canal.
Yeah.
After speaking with you guys
Yep.
when we first started this relationship. Is that your number one seller?
Yeah, I would say it would be close between the 3 to 8 and the 2 to 6.
Okay.
It's definitely the 11-foot over
Okay.
the 10-6.
Gotcha.
After, like you said, that whole phase of the popularity of the 10-6 went away.
Yeah.
Saw a lot more guys go up to an 11 around here than down to the 10.
Yeah.
Just because, on the beaches, a 10's fine. I use an 11, but I know most guys use the 10-foot, a lot of lammies. But for the canal, it's between the 2 to 6 and the 3 to 8. I'd say it's pretty close.
So have you fished them?
I haven't. That's actually, I think it's the only rod
Okay.
other than the Tide Runner.
Okay. Well,
I
whoever's
haven't
watching, listening, if you ever have used a Shadow Surf 11-footer and have any feedback on how we can make it better, drop it down in the comments below.
Drop a comment. Yeah, I'll have to grab one and fish one. Right now, I have a dial rod that I was testing out. But that'll be next on the list.
Okay.
I'll add it to the pile.
Cool.
Add it to the Jigging World pile on the other side of the barn here. So obviously, with surf rods, every company has a bunch of different reasons for picking this component, that component. But how would you say, most of your components outside of the grip were chosen
Yeah.
to kind of make the distinction between, you have your technology in the inshore,
Mm-hmm.
but what technology did you guys use in your surf rods to kind of fit the shore fisherman a little better?
So when we're talking carbon fiber, the higher grade that you go, it becomes a lot much like a faster fishing rod.
Okay.
So we use pretty much not the highest, but in between. So that one, what we wanted to achieve was virtually effortless casting, where you're not going to be throwing out your shoulder, trying to just
Yeah.
throw plugs.
Heave out a plug.
Because you don't know what conditions they're going to throw at you. I mean,
Sure.
when the wind's in your face, I mean, you're going to be heaving that stuff like right into the wind all day, just trying to get that extra distance.
Yeah.
So I would say when we're talking our construction of surf rods, we're focused more on being able to load properly / effortlessly, where
Okay.
you can get as much distance
Yeah.
as needed. And just using carbon fiber technology alone.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just making the little tweaks inside.
yeah, the sensitivity alone, it's like,
It's completely different.
yeah.
Yeah, it's actually interesting you say that, because now that I think about it, I'm not well versed in the whole carbon fiber with fishing rods and what actually makes the difference. So it's interesting you say that, just because I'm going in my head with
Yeah.
other brands now, thinking like, okay, what rods are fast action? What rods are moderate?
Yeah.
And you can kind of just see by looking at all the different manufacturers how the carbon's making the difference.
One thing that I noticed was I've obviously used non-Jigging World surf rods in the past too.
Of course.
For example, what do you call it? Redfin. A loaded redfin used to be my number one go-to lure.
Yep.
If I had to choose one lure to just go out fishing, just catch some bass, probably be a blurple redfin. And one thing I noticed was actually using a Jigging World carbon fiber surf rod, I felt the wobbles a little bit more.
Okay. A little more
felt,
sensitive.
exactly.
Yeah.
I felt it swimming a little bit more, translating all the way down into like the foregrip.
Sure.
So like I know what's going on pretty
Yeah.
much. So
Oh, sweet.
yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Now into our favorite topic, at least my favorite topic, offshore.
Ooh.
You guys just released a new rod this year.
Uh-huh.
It's called the AMF rod. I fell into the trap and got both.
Yeah.
Popping and jigging.
Okay.
What is so special about this rod? Because you have the Black Widow, you have the Ghost Hunter. This, I always describe the AMF as kind of, the baby of the two. The Ghost Hunter is very fast action
sure.
rod.
Yep.
The Black Widow is a little more moderate. And the AMF it's kind of like a perfect.
It's like an in between.
Yeah, it's like a perfect moderate fast, but you don't lose the power of the Ghost Hunter.
No loss of power.
No,
No
you
loss
added
of
power.
Maybe actually
You
added
added
power,
power.
in some way. But you said it perfectly. If we're just talking about popping rods.
Yeah.
We have now the AMF popping, Black Widow popping, Ghost Hunter popping, and Luminous popping. But if we're just to kind of compare the first three that were mentioned, the Black Widow has a very moderate taper to it
Yes.
while under load. While the Ghost Hunter, I mean,
Backbreaker.
it's a backbreaker,
Yeah.
but it's still a necessary style of rod.
Oh, totally.
Where there are some people who are not always out there to just enjoy fishing. Their
Yeah.
main goal is to winch and fish.
Yeah.
And that results in needing
Stiffer
really
rod.
just a backbone broomstick type of rod where
Yeah.
you can winch them in. But, just as the vast majority of anglers are out there to enjoy themselves, obviously who wants to just fight one fish and be done for the rest of the day? I'm sure you're going out there, you want to fight more than one fish.
Totally.
And that's where the AMF comes in. The main difference between the AMFs and the Black Widow popping, Ghost Hunter popping is the AMF is a solid one-piece carbon fiber blank now. So it's not, there is no two-piece connection.
Yep.
What that results in is probably one of the strongest popping blanks probably out today.
I think
Yeah.
you can confidently say that.
I mean, the feedback's been great. I know we started out with the 400 and the 500 in a 7.2 length. We did the 7.2 length with intentions of not educating, but really helping out anglers, because you're gonna take a 400 and 500 gram popping rod with the mindset of going after bigger class size tuna.
Totally.
All your overs, your 80 inchers, up to
Yeah.
80 inchers. And the longer the popping rod, yes, you'll get more distance with it, but I mean, the end game,
You lose
just think about
leverage.
it. I mean, your back's going to be screaming.
Yeah.
And with the shorter rod, you have so much more leverage and control over bigger class size tuna. And hence, on the 300 and the 200 that will be coming out later this year, early 2025, that will come as a 7.6 one piece as well. And that's gonna
I
be,
was gonna
that's
say,
gonna,
so
that's
I
gonna be a
can't wait
game changer.
to get my
That's
hands
gonna
on
be-
those and just check them out.
I don't get, I don't get too excited anymore like I used
Trying not
to.
to smile right
But
now.
I mean, the bend on these rods.
So, what would you compare it to in your current lineup, if you can? I
I would
guess.
say it's like the best of both worlds. Very durable, strong backbone type of ghost hunter popping rod, but a beautiful action, sensitivity,
Like the black one.
being able to load and just bomb your lures
Yeah.
like a black widow.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
I
exciting.
mean, Robbie Taylor at a Newport Sport Fishing. I mean, he's been testing them, and he just all day,
He's killing it.
all day. It's like this is it.
He's a fishy guy.
Oh, he's
He's fishy.
I mean, I personally haven't met anyone who tops him though.
No.
I mean, Craig's up there too.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Robbie's a fishy guy. He just kind of got onto my radar this past
Yeah,
spring.
we've been blessed. I mean, we have Robbie,
Yeah.
we have Craig, we have Dom of Coastal Charter Sport Fishing around this area too.
Sure.
I mean, they're all unique in their own ways.
Yeah.
But definitely, probably some of the fishiest people that I've ever run into. So
Oh,
yeah.
Now, the AMF was teamed up as, a Crafty One Customs and Jigging World Rod, kind of a collaboration. What role did Crafty One play? Whether it's the name, I know you guys were searching for a name for a while. The blank, I'm sure they played a part in, but what kind of, what kind of part did they play in making this rod a possibility?
Ralph over at Crafty One has been building on Jigging World rods since the beginning of Jigging World.
Yeah.
Well, more towards the beginning of Jigging World. So that's how the relationship kind of started out. When we were a nobody, he trusted us and was willing to put his name, build it out on our blanks. And that means a lot, from the get-go. Like when no one else is willing to give you a chance, you got one of the biggest dudes out in this area, in the New England area.
Yeah.
Have you seen him, met him in person?
I haven't, no.
I mean, he's a big guy.
Is he?
He's a big guy, and he makes us look small. So, for him to have faith and trust in our blanks, it meant a lot, especially to the owner Young in the beginning, and that's how the relationship kind of started, where they were leaning on each other a lot, making new blanks, making new rods, kind of putting two heads together to really helping each other out. Because just going back to Nexus, it's not only about us. Even Red Top, all our dealers, your guys' success is our success.
Totally.
And on the other side, consumers, anglers, enjoying and catching their personal best and enjoying Jigging World rods, that's our success too.
Yeah.
It's more than just us selling product and putting out to the market. It's just we really pride ourselves in being able to continue growing our relationships with everyone. So
Yeah, and I mean it's obviously at the shop we're dealing with 100 different brands, but I would say with you guys it's it's a hey let's this got screwed up.
Yeah.
Why don't you just come over? We'll go grab lunch and film a quick podcast. We end up with something like this.
I don't know. It's like
Where it's
whatever's-
it's not just the work relationship.
of course, 100%.
It's
I
totally-
would never want that, and I don't think anyone else. I don't think anyone you would even want that either.
No,
It's
it's just it's nice to talk business, but it's also nice when you can sit there, just be honest with one another, and you don't have to worry
Absolutely.
about everything getting sour.
I think that kind of comes from I never wanted. I mean, I don't know if I should say this on camera. I never wanted to be a salesperson.
Yeah.
I've tried sales in the past. It's not my forte, but fishing is something that I've come to love, and to be able to talk fishing while building a relationship, I guess that's where I found that happy medium where I was able to balance work and personal growth, I guess, or relationship growth between.
Totally.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
It's great. Now, obviously, we've been talking about the versatility rods. The AMF will have two different models, a plugging and a jigging. So, can you jig with the 7.2? Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
no
there's
problem. You can.
100%.
Obviously, traditionally speaking, guys will want that 5'3" to 6 foot ish rod. But a very special rod in your guys' lineup is the Raptor. It's
Yes.
$199 retail. It's a little moderate. It's a 6'6", 30 to 80. It's just kind of that perfect happy medium between. I want to plug and jig if I have to, but I don't want two different setups.
I mean,
So the Raptor was kind of the
yeah, can't go wrong. That's why we made the
Perfect in
Raptor
between.
6'6" spin heavy.
Yeah.
Yep.
which we talked before. I asked you, why 6'6"? Because my selling point, at least as the salesman, is 6'6". It's the perfect length. 6 foot's your jigging rod, 7 foot's your popping rod. I'll meet you right in the middle. You can do everything on this. Another thing is, because of that moderate action, a lot of guys who come in, who say don't have their own boats, they're going to go out with buddies and say, they're going to go fish Cape Cod Bay. Hey, I need a striper rod that can handle tuna.
Can't think of a better rod.
Here's your Raptor.
100%.
Yep, because it's, sure, you could take an AMF and go striper fish with it, but
Absolutely.
be skiing 40 pounders to the boat.
Oh yeah. Floating on top back towards you.
Yeah, and it was kind of just that perfect mesh. And again, your price points, you can't beat them. I mean, I think the AMF is that the highest price rod?
That is, no. That new Black Giant deep drop rod is our highest price point production rod now.
Okay.
But in terms of popping, jigging and popping, offshore game,
Popping,
yeah.
And
That
it's
is
still
our highest
at
price
what,
point.
$389?
$349 for the
jigging.
jigging, and $379 and $399 for the two popping rods right now.
Yeah, still. So I mean, the price point, the
So
quality.
still, yeah, it's still under 400.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, even then, if it was over 400, quality for price, I mean, you kind of cornered the market in that idea, where it's just impressive.
Thank you.
Rods can do everything.
Thank you.
The first time I met you, when I got that hybrid from you, that was my first. I had never heard of you guys, anything. I had just met you. I was like, hey, Mike was a great guy. I'm gonna fish this rod, see what I think. And I fell in love with it. I'm still in love with it. I think it's one of my favorite boat rods to date. And now it has overflowed into.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Have them all, but it's incredible what you guys do. I'm super glad that we get to work with you still, and I'm looking forward to seeing.
It's an honor. No,
Looking
seriously,
forward
we're
to seeing
privileged
what
too.
else you
Thank
guys
you.
come up with. It'll be exciting for the years to come. I'm excited to see the 200 and 300 AMF,
Oh, yeah.
especially. I fell in love with those rods when, I don't even remember, you started teasing them a while ago, and then I knew you were coming up with a name for a while.
We definitely tested that and had multiple samples that I was showing around for quite some time before we released it. So.
Yeah. How did you come to the name AMF? I knew there's going to be a funny story behind this. Because on the rod it says Alpha Foxtrot.
Alpha Mike Foxtrot.
Alpha Mike Foxtrot.
So, one of Ralph's premier offshore rods that he calls it is the AMF rods.
Okay.
So what it is pretty much a tuna in the middle of a crosshair. And what that means is pretty much you hook a tuna on this type of rod or on the AMF series, you can expect it to be landed pretty much. So that has a lot of meaning in terms of like, oh crap, we can't cheap out on this series.
Yeah, of course not.
So, to make this collab work, we got to build something pretty beastly.
Yeah.
Cutting no corners, just making it just pristine, exactly the way that Ralph would be happy to have his signature name on it pretty much. And Alpha Mike Foxtrot, from what I've come to learn, was back during the Vietnam War. Basically, it was a signal before they dropped the bomb, I guess.
Yep.
And then pretty much AMF another meaning for it is adios mother effer.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of funny, and you'd be pretty surprised what other people have called it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually don't want to
Yeah.
get into that.
But I mean, it's all fun and games. I mean, it just cracks me up what people can think of these days.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but the name does stand for Alpha Mike Foxtrot, which was meaning pretty much like adios, like tuna.
As soon as you hook this, it's dead fish.
Pretty much.
That's sweet. Out of your whole lineup, what would you say your favorite rod is?
Oof.
Favorite one. Just one. You don't get the inshore, offshore.
Like, are we talking about series or down to like a specific model?
Whatever you come up with first.
Night Ranger.
Okay.
Night Ranger. Just caught my big tog on it.
That was a monster.
Big tog.
What'd that weigh again? Was it over 20?
On a Boga 20.
It's ridiculous. We don't get them that big up here. Down there's something else.
I'm pretty sure there's some big ones out here.
No,
so much
some big ones.
So much less pressure here.
Yeah, true.
We gotta go talking. But
So here's one that'll blow your mind.
What was that?
Here's one that'll blow your mind. Speaking of togging, I've never togged.
What? All right, we gotta change that.
Never.
We gotta change that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my offshore stuff too, my fluking, but I want togging something different. I just love
I've
togging.
never done it. I'm a big sea bass guy.
Yeah.
I like the non-stop action. Throw anything you want. Here we go. Let's catch.
Sea bass up here, I enjoy as well.
Yes.
But down by us,
it's not too good.
We're talking about like little like cookie cutters, just like, but they taste great.
They taste incredible.
Amazing table fare.
Yeah.
Going back to Night Ranger.
I was gonna say, what are you holding there?
So I don't even know how many models we have in the Night Ranger series now, but this is officially our lightest Night Ranger blank that is available now. We don't have it in a production model, but it is
Just
available
blank.
as blanks for custom rod builders and consumers if they want to buy a blank and put some guides on it and build it out their own.
Yeah.
But that blank,
they can't tell, but this blank gets a 7'2".
Medium
it's
action.
rated up to 1 ounce.
Yep. So this is like.
I think I have my notepad here. My notepad weighs more than this blank right now.
1.8 ounces.
Yeah, so 1.8.
1.8.
So less than 2 ounces for a 7-foot rod. You build it out. You're talking you could possibly make a
close to 3 ounce rod.
3 ounce rod.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
That's ridiculous, and I'm sure the power on this is unmatched. But
so that's actually one of the reasons why I've come to love the Night Rangers so much is just sheer sensitivity, lightness and weight, but the durability on these things. It's like mind-boggling. Yeah. I've seen some really sketchy things done with these rods.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's like you got your tog on this, and after seeing that video, it was like when that fish would dig down and run. Yeah. You watched the backbone in the rod.
Exactly.
Take it.
100%. Just absorb it and just right back up.
Took the fish out of the wreck or out of the rocks.
Oh yeah.
It was incredible. Yeah. But I did not realize that was that light. That's something else.
I don't know. It's tough. I mean, we have the Onyx, Nexus, Hybrid, Night Ranger as our 4 main core like inshore series. Yeah. And all of them have its own advantageous points, specs, or whatever you want to call it, mainly due to price point. Mm-hmm. So we did that intentionally so that if there are anglers out there who want to try out a jigging rod without, jumping the gun and going to a Night Ranger $250 price point rod, I mean, just try out an Onyx or Nexus rod. Yeah. And then if you like it, if it's something that's fitting for you, then we have other options too for you to upgrade in the future. Yeah. But, those are the whole, in all our series, that's the intentions of having different price points. Yeah. Try something. If you like it, you have other options in the future.
I guess I'll have to try out a Night Ranger because my favorite rod's sitting off frame there.
No, I'll tell you this. You go to a Night Ranger.
It's that hybrid.
You won't be using that hybrid again.
Oh, it's so hard to believe.
It's hard to go back.
It's hard to believe.
These things, I'm telling you.
Stop using that.
When I'm talking with this, I shit you not. I can literally feel everything that's going on down below.
That's incredible.
So one of the advantages that I have come to realize using such a sensitive rod like this is so sensitive in the tip that one, you can literally feel them swimming around your jig. Not joking.
That's dumb.
And like you can anticipate. I know it makes no sense.
Well, I mean, once you get used to feeling that,
once you
swim like that, you know when they're gonna hit.
You can even feel like you can anticipate when they're gonna bite.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, you sold me. I'll try one out.
Yeah.
But I think we got it all.
Cool.
I'm shocked. I'm baffled. Of course, I'm gonna have to try everything out. I'm sure. Looking at the table, you guys see all these lures here. We didn't really talk about them that much, but
It's all good.
these are gonna be all your, well, probably not all, but some of your Jigging World lineup, from rigs, assist hooks, topwater lures, jigs. You can check them out on our website. You can check them out at Jigging World's website if we don't carry them. If you think we should carry them, drop a comment. We're open to opinions on what you think we don't have that we should. Thank you guys for listening. All the products we talked about will be in the video description below. Mike, thank you again, not only for coming on,
Thank you for having me.
but thank you for coming all the way up here for this. I know that drive probably wasn't fun, but
Not at all.
thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned in a couple of weeks. We will have a YouTube video up in between the next podcast. So make sure you check out the YouTube video next week. Make sure you check out the old YouTube videos we have up. Got a bunch of stuff on how to rig, football tuna. We use the AMF rods in that video. So definitely check that one out. And thank you guys for watching.